If you study in Canada for 2 years, you'll get a work permit after graduation for 3 years. But for many students, paying for 2 years of education is not really affordable, so they pick 1-year programs. In this video, we'll discuss if 1 year is actually enough to get permanent residency in Canada. So if you're interested in studying in Canada for a year and getting your work permits and PRs after, this video is for you. Let's get started. But first, let's start with legal rules. First of all, if you study in Canada for 2 years, you will get a work permit for 3 years. If you study for a year, you will get a work permit normally just for 1 year. And after a year of full-time work, you can apply for permanent residency. Getting a degree in Canada will contribute to your CRS score if you're planning to apply through Express Entry system. However, having a higher CRS score does not guarantee you being selected and getting your PR. One of the ways to improve your CRS score is to have good command of either English or French. And do you know how to increase your score? Well, to sprinkle some idioms in your speech, because that's what native speakers do. We all know that actions speak louder than words, so why not act today? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Lingota, my favorite online language school, where I have been learning German for the past year, and honestly, that's the best thing that happened to me. But Yulia, there are so many schools available online. Why should we choose Lingota? Good question, my friend. I'm gonna tell you why. Well, first of all, Lingota's curriculum is focused on the real language. So basically, they teach in how do native speakers communicate. That's why materials include not only typical, exercises, they also include cultural aspects and idioms, so you can sound like a native speaker. Second of all, the groups are really small, up to 5 people, so you can experience the whole thing. You can participate in your lesson, you can learn new things. And my favorite part is that you can study from anywhere you want. I'm going to Canada for 2 months. Well, I'm gonna be studying from Canada. Classes are literally available to you from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m., so you'll definitely find a time slot that's gonna work for you. By the way, have you noticed how I use the idioms in my speech? Well, you can do too, my friend. Are you feeling convinced yet? Are you ready to act? So here's the thing, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Sign up for a 7-day trial completely free of charge. No strings attached. And use my code Yulia trial for 30% off your payment. During that week, you can choose between 4 languages, English, German, French or Spanish. You can choose between 3 group classes or 1 private class, as you wish. And if you like it, you can continue learning. There are multiple options available for you, so you can either study in a small group or you can take private classes. And if you're not sure about your language level, well, Lingota has a placement test for you. Don't miss the boat. Try Lingota today. All the links gonna be in the description box down below. Don't forget to sign up, enjoy your free week of classes, and you will thank me later. Now let's get back to the video. Let's see if studying for 1 year, working for 1 year and getting a PR is actually a realistic scenario. As per Canada.ca website, you can get post-graduation work permit only once in your lifetime. Meaning, if you study for a year, apply for your work permit, done. You will not be able to get another one, even if you study for 5 more years, even if you study for 10 more years. Only one post-graduation work permit in your lifetime. If during your studies you realize, hey, there are not enough job opportunities in my city, in my industry, and you decide to take the second program, you need to apply ASAP basically. If you study for 2 years, taking 1+1 program, you will get still 3 years of your post-graduation work permit. I did that, it worked perfectly. I mean, they kind of forgot that I took the second program, but in the end, I got my 3-year work permit. To be eligible for a Canadian Experience class, you will need 1 year of full-time work. And let's not forget that the job you have should be a skilled one. You cannot be a barista at Starbucks and then apply for Canadian Experience class and be like, hey, I'm super qualified. No, you worked as a barista, my friend. A full-time job means 30 hours per week for 12 months, which makes it to 1,560 hours. You can also get those hours even if you work part-time. For example, you can work for 15 hours per week for 24 months, but in the end it's gonna be still a year of full-time work. Here's the thing, while I'm filming this video in March 2023, there is an exception for international students that says you can work full-time while studying. This means that it's much easier right now for those people who are taking 1-year programs to study for 1 year, work for 1 year, and then get their PR. The thing is, this exception might end this year, next year, and students will work part-time again. For example, if you're planning to take a one-year program this September, you might start working full-time while studying, and then government is like, we're done, and then you'll need to switch to part-time. So in theory, if you're studying right now and working full-time, it might work out for you. In the future, well, we don't know, because we don't know what's gonna happen to this exception, if government decides to prolongate it or whatsoever. But here are some tips on how to make it work for you. First of all, start looking for jobs while studying and apply. It will take you, I don't know, 100 job applications before you land a job. Trust me, I've been there, I've applied for those jobs, I've been rejected like many times before I landed a job. So don't be scared. When you're in your last semester in school, start applying for jobs, but make sure to prepare your resume for Canada. By the way, I have a video, don't forget to check it out after. If you just graduated, it will take some time to get a job unless you're highly skilled, highly qualified person. Another thing to get a job would be to volunteer during your studies. First of all, you'll get your work experience. Second of all, you will get connections, you will network, people will remember you, and maybe they'll offer you a job after your volunteering experience. And if you want to learn more about volunteering, I have a video available for you. The next tip is build good relationship at work, in school. When volunteering, you never know who are those people. Maybe they'll help you in the future, so be nice to people. But also, if let's say you got a job, but your work permit is expiring, if you're nice to your boss, they can help you extend your work permit. But please know that it will take some time to extend your work permit, so there's a chance that you will apply and you'll wait for, I don't know, 6 months, so be ready. And the fun fact here, if you're applying for the same type of work permit, for example, you had an open post-graduation work permit, you can continue working. Amazing. Another smart thing to do is to calculate your CRS score before coming to Canada. And you'll need to calculate 2 scores. First of all is your current score and your future projection score. So when calculating your projections, you will need to consider 1 year of your studies and 1 year of experience. On my favorite website, canada.ca, cic.gc.ca, you can find a calculator and estimate your score for the express entry system. And don't forget to qualify the previous draws, because you need to know if you will actually qualify. If your score is really low and education will not help, I would not bother risking and studying for 1 year. I would take a 2-year program, maybe wait, maybe try immigrating through work. But if you do not make the cut, what's the point of studying, wasting your time, wasting your money? But if your score is good enough, and with experience and education, you will qualify, you will be somewhere in the past draws. Well, that's a good sign, my friend. I think in this case, it might be worth a risk. Improve your language skills. English and French are the official languages of Canada, and the higher your score is, the more points you will get when applying for permanent residency. For Canadian Experience class, you will need the minimum of CLB 7, which is IELTS 6.0. But if you get your IELTS 8.0, you'll get more points, which is very good for you, my friend. Another thing to do before coming to Canada is to select your location wisely. Sometimes it makes more sense to go to further provinces like Alberta, Manitoba, to Atlantic provinces, simply because the process of getting a PR is so much easier over there. The provincial nominee programs that they have, they're super easy, super fast compared to the rest of Canada. Because if you go to Toronto, first of all, you'll spend so much time looking for a job, but then you'll spend so much more time waiting for your PR. And let's not forget about the job perspectives, because if there are no jobs in your area, well, bye-bye, my friend, go back to your home country. Like that basically happened to me. I studied in Ottawa, event management. When I graduated, I was like, but where are all the jobs in the event industry? There were no jobs. I'm like, okay, what do I do? But I decided not to take a risk and took the second program. But if I knew in advance that there are literally no jobs in events in Ottawa, I wouldn't be studying events in the first place, or I would be studying events in Toronto, where there's so many jobs available for people who decide to study events. It's like studying marine studies somewhere in Manitoba where there's literally no ocean. You know what I mean? And once you apply for your permanent residency, you might be eligible for a bridge and work permit, meaning you might still be able to continue working. That's literally what I did when my post-graduation work permit was expiring. I talked to my boss. I was like, hey, we can get me a bridging work permit and I can continue working instead of just sitting at home being like, I'm waiting for my permanent residency. And in Quebec, permanent residency thingy takes like years, so I'd be sitting home waiting for my PR. No, we just got me a bridge and work permit. It took me 3 or 4 months, but I got a work permit. I was able to continue working. Everyone was happy. That is speaking of building good relationships with your management. And if you're moving to Canada with your partner, well, good for you, because that's the best case scenario for those of you who want to take a 1-year program, get your work permit, get your PR. Why? Because while you are studying your 1-year program, your partner will get an open work permit and they can work full-time. And then they can extend that work permit and basically work towards getting a permanent residency themselves. So in the end, it might be your partner applying for PR because they have, for example, more points in the system or more work experience or whatsoever. So is 1 year of studies enough for getting permanent residency in Canada? Well, first of all, it's definitely risky. Second of all, it's definitely challenging. So if you're not prepared mentally, physically, it's not gonna be enough for you. I think it's totally doable, but you need to consider many things before coming to Canada. You need to have a plan. You need to know your CRS scores before, after. You will need to calculate basically every step you take, because if you make a mistake, you get that 1-year work permit, you're screwed. Like, you can't get another one. You cannot go back to college and get another work permit because you just can't. So you need to be smart in your decisions. And if you've taken a 1-year program and got your PR, please let us know in the comments, share your story, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!